There's the ever so graceful Brian, and the Thumb, who always looks so sleek first thing in the morning. Now we're bounding about, racing down the road to head back towards Karula to see if she's still lying about with her two darling. Well, an impala kill if it hasn't been stolen by the You've just shot Safari Live. This is a live and interactive safari, so we'd love to hear from you. Brent is also out on drive. Stef is walking, so if you'd like to have chats to any of us, the best way to get hold of us is by hashtagging Safari Live on Twitter, and then we will get all of your questions, and you can ask anything you like. What's the weather like? What are the that we find today? What are they doing? Or just anything about a safari. You can do that. Now, you saw just a moment ago we were with the giraffe. Unfortunately, it's just a little bit too dark to view it just yet. So when the sun decides to wake up, it's still a bit sleepy this morning. But
hello, sorry about that. Seems like we've still got some great and some naughty elephants around, as you can see. Naughty. And let's see if we do this without getting out of the car. There we go. That's how we do it. See, Dave? One arm, off the road, perfectly executed. I think that's a 10 out of 10. Good morning, my name is Brent Smith. I have Dangerous Dave the Dish on camera with me, and of course we have a small pasty English child as well named Rollo, who's in charge of that rig up there, and we're going in search of the Nkuhuma Pride. Hashtag Safari Live if you'd like to get hold of us and send us in any questions. So the lions were roaring, but they sounded desperately close to our northern boundary, so we're going to go have a look. Hopefully we'll catch up with them before they cross. And there you saw me removing an elephant branch. A naughty elephant has left a branch on the road. No, that's a stick. So this is where the Nkuhumas were sleeping yesterday, and it sounds like the Birminghams went up the northern boundary, so we're going to go. Is that a lion, or is that, what is that there, Dave? In the half light, looks like a kudu. It's a kudu. That's not a good sign when you're looking for lions. Relaxed kudus chewing the cud. Now it's this half light in the morning where a spotlight is redundant, but you have to look very carefully because it can play tricks on your eyes. So no tracks of them coming this way. As I said, I fear they have gone to the north. After not moving for a full 48 hours, pretty much, staying within a 100-meter radius. I think they got hungry last night. Like Batman, he's always hungry. Let's check to the north. Dispersal males, and they're not the good type of dispersal male, which is a young male looking for territory. They're the old male trying to avoid all the young males. Now, someone was saying, oh, what's it like, two old boys on a pub crawl visiting their old haunts? And I said, no, it's like two escaped prisoners of war crawling behind enemy lines. They're just trying to avoid all contact with any other males. Now, males like that are extremely dangerous to cubs, and cubs, instinctively they'll kill cubs to try and make females go into estrus, but also it's a nice easy meal for an old male. Now, an older male lion dung, it's not uncommon to find bits of little lions, or even a young male lion dung. I found perfect little claws and other stuff in lion dung, from male lion dung, where they have either killed their own cubs, or normally a competing coalition's cubs. No sign of any tracks yet. Maybe we're in luck. Maybe we're in luck. So lots of happy birthday messages for Jamie and Stef, and I'm sure they'll appreciate that Stef is out shortly, so you can even say happy birthday to him while he's out on bushwalk. Jamie is probably still fast asleep, enjoying a little lion. And lots of elephants around again. And it's quite a pleasant morning, about 24 degrees Celsius, 72 Fahrenheit. But this cloud cover looks quite thin. Oh dear. It's as I said that, I could see rain on the horizon. And I felt a drop hit my cheek. Uh-oh. Who said uh-oh? Dave said uh-oh. Oh, indeed. We very seldom get rain from the northwest. Let's have a look behind us. Ooh. We might have to look at the wind map just now. Now, it is very humid, but I didn't expect it to be raining. When I got up this morning, the stars were out. The beautiful starry sky. Come on, Dave, spot a lion. So this is the area where I thought some of the roars were coming from. Oh, let's have a chat. Let's say good morning to Aubrey, who's now out and about. Morning, Orbs. One station following up on the Xongile audio, Sandy Patch, and Buffalo's Cut Line, and another station following up on Karula, Philemon's Cut Line, and I think Weaver's Nest. Okay. Come on. Where you are. Oh! There we go. That's a very interesting update from Aubrey. Oh, there we go. Sorry, now Taylor's talking, but I'm not going to give away the surprise about what Taylor's got. But from Aubrey, there possibly might be some wild dogs heading towards our western boundary. And so that's very exciting. So Aubrey's going to check down there, but I'll keep my ears open. Well, speaking of Madam McCurdy and her surprise, let's go have a look.
We've actually managed to find young Hosana. Let me just turn this game drive radio right off very quickly, and you can see he's not where he was yesterday though. So I had a look and a quick scratch around to see if the kill was there and Hosana and Xongile were around, but unfortunately they weren't. And Hosana has actually come from the south. So I wonder if they didn't get maybe chased around by hyenas last night, and you all know that there's no shortage of hyenas on the property at the moment, and Karula hadn't hoisted her kill. So her loss, unfortunately, making it a very, very easy meal. But it'd be interesting to see where Xongile is, and I wonder if Karula if she's maybe resting up, or if she's perhaps gone off on another adventure to try and find another meal that will hopefully not get stolen by hyenas this time around. Now, Hosana, we've had this conversation. You do not go into this water because there is a crocodile that is still lurking around. It is very far away from him, though luckily he's now had these amazing interactions with I have got no oh no, do I have comms? Sorry, I'm just checking quickly. Yes, I do. He's had a really very valuable sightings with his mother, where she showed both of her lovely cubs what a crocodile is, and she sort of showed them that you mustn't go near them by hissing and growling and snarling, and those cubs would have picked up off of that animal is dangerous, and that is one that we should keep away from. However, this is also Hosana that we are talking about, and we know that his curious mind often gets the best of him, so we'll have to just wait and see what he gets up to this morning. But he's got a big belly at least, so they managed to get one good feed, unless I just missed the carcass completely. But we had a good scratch around, and we could see where all the grass was nice and flat, but there was nothing happening there at all. And I'm sure we would have seen our favorite little felines. Hosana, are you going to have a drink? He's staring sort of quite persistently at the water. I wonder if he hadn't spotted the croc. It's gone underwater now, but it wasn't really showing too much of its body, just its eyes and its nostrils, as a crocodile normally does. So maybe he's learned. Maybe he's going to be more cautious, especially of these bigger pools of water. But we shall see what happens when he goes down. Oh, sorry, that is me just ducking. Apologies for that. But also watch him here. He always walks along the edge of the dam wall. And to stop erosion and also to encourage growth, we brush pack, so you can see all those fallen trees, those cut off branches. We put them here, but they're thorn trees to prevent the animals, the herbivores, from coming and feasting on the grass, just to give the ground an opportunity to recover. And Hosana and Xongile walk there constantly, and it always makes for something very, very funny to watch. Like I said, because they are thorns, so they often get their tails hooked in a thorn, or they step on a thorn, and then they panic a little bit. But isn't he's getting so big. He's turning into such a lovely cat. He's looking more and more like his father every single day. Don't you think? Mm-hmm. Brian said, mm-hmm. 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 Praise it, sister. He does. He's a splitting image of his dad, which is really, well, he's actually a lovely combination. He's got Karula's sort of charm, and then Tingana's, he's just got this presence about him. Like, when we were driving now, we were coming around, trying to have a quick search, and there was nothing. And then all of a sudden, something made me look down to the right, and there he was, sitting behind a little bush. And you often get that with big elephant bulls, not typically, or big male lions. It's not something typical that you get with leopards. Here's our crocodile. Now, the croc has actually swam all the way across the dam to the other side, which is good. You can see he's going under very, very slowly, disappearing. Completely gone, and just leaving ripples that look like insects were sitting on the surface of the water. So they've got the most unbelievable camouflage, and I think Hosana has learnt his lesson, because there he sits, and I'm glad that he's sitting that far away from the water's edge, because that crocodile, even though they're really great at launching themselves out of the water to snatch prey, that is quite a large distance. And I think Hosana's reflexes have now got to the point where, well, if a crocodile were to expose itself by coming out of the water, he should be quick enough to pounce back at that distance. But let's hope, where one can only hope. Okay, the crocodile's not moving. That's good. It just popped its head under the water. Fantastic. Hosana, where's the rest of your family? Where's your sister? We would like to see some playing this morning, please. And this is also, again, it's not unusual to see the two of them splitting up and spending less and less time together, because it's not going to be too much longer before Xongile goes off on her own adventure. You saw how the first 3 months, well, you've all experienced how quickly the first 3 months of 2017 have gone. You can imagine how quickly the rest of the year is going to go. And before you know it, Xongile will be 2 years old and almost ready to leave home, which is very exciting as well, because I can't wait to see where she sets up shop, if she's going to set up her territory a little bit further north, or if she's going to take this spot where we are at the moment, because Karula hangs around here often with her cubs around twin dams. She'll probably start off with not a massive territory, a little bit smaller, before she realizes where Tandi's territory is, where Shadow likes to go, and there's a lot of other leopards in between, but don't seem to be sort of permanent residents like Tandi, Karula, and Shadow. There's some other ones. Sometimes we see Xongile, sometimes we see the young Ingrid Dam female who pops up every now and then. Salaheshe. They're all a little bit further west of here, sort of closer towards Shadow's territory. So she's actually, Xongile will have a great spot here. This lad, on the other hand, is going to go and do some venturing, and it'll be quite exciting to see where he goes. And we'll have to let our friends know down in the southern sector of the Sabi Sand of this lovely character, to see if he maybe pops in and shows face around there. That would be a really, really nice thing to see if he goes, how far he goes. And he's panting quite a bit as well, just because he's so full. He's eaten all that his stomach can handle, and probably a little bit more too. So now that's just putting a little bit of pressure on his lungs and his diaphragm, and he's not able to take big deep breaths like he normally would. It's just short little ones. It's not actually hot at all out here. It's pleasant. Now, Denise, you're wondering if I've ever seen a crocodile catch a leopard. I haven't. And in terms of sightings and rarity, as unbelievable as it would be to see something like that, I'm not sure I'd like it to be one of the royal family leopards, or any leopard in fact. I know Brent has told me a story as he's seen a crocodile take a big male lion down, which must have been a really, really tough thing to watch. And we love it out here. We love the bush, and we know it's nature. The guides understand it more than anybody. And those sort of things happen, especially when you're a crocodile. You don't say no to anything. They're not picky. They're like hyenas. They will eat anything that they can get their jaws, around. And if it's a leopard or a lion that's not paying too much attention at the edge of a watering hole, well, then unfortunately they're going to end up being snatched up by a croc. And you can imagine why we panic when Hosana and Xongile get too close, because they're so young and inexperienced. They don't really know what to do yet, and they're still living that comfort life that mom's going to protect them all the time, well, most of the time, because they get left on their own for quite some time too. And a big yawn. But no, I hope I don't ever see a leopard taking down a crocodile. I think that would be, like I said, a really hard thing to watch. Two apex predators battling it out. I actually don't think it would be very much of a fight as well, especially the size of the croc that's in here. We've seen Boris the Blade many times, twice I think. When I say many times, I mean twice, out on foot, which has been so exciting to see. He's not a small crocodile. He looks... Well, the water is quite deceiving because its head doesn't look too big, but as soon as it's out of the water, between 2.5 meters and 3 meters long, but so wide, almost the width of a sleeping bag. He was quite a big crocodile. But we're definitely not going to go anywhere. I might actually have a quick search around to see if I can see where Karula and Xongile have gone. But as you've seen, it's lightened up quite nicely now. Stef is on a walk. I'm not sure what he's going to go searching for. Let's go and say good morning to him. It's all.
Good morning and welcome to the bushwalk. I'm Stef and I'm standing on a termite mound, and that is exactly what I'm doing. I haven't, it's not what I found here. I'm trying to sneak up on those impala that were running away from us. Didn't get it too good. They saw me before we could get anywhere close. You can see there now, they got a little bit of a fright there. They're stopping to watch us. It's always a good thing to try and sneak up on non-dangerous animals, to be honest with you. When you're practicing how to sneak up and stay unobserved by things like elephant and buffalo and lion and leopard, the impala are very good practice dummies to try and do that because they're so observant. They get hunted all the time by almost everything, from snakes and jackals and eagles all the way through to lion and leopard and wild dog and cheetah. So they've got a healthy So they've developed a nervous twitch that allows them to be quite observant. So if you can sneak up on impala, you can pretty much sneak up on anything. And that's what I was trying to do when you caught us here, sneak up on some impala. What are our plans for today? We are going to go and look for those lion that Jamie was with yesterday afternoon. Now, male lions can walk and do walk far distances in the evenings. They go from one side of their territory to another. They're responding to lion calls and roars from other prides. They bolster up the defenses on the one side of their territory, this side. They then move and they bolster up it on their territory on that side. So I'm expecting their tracks to be quite far, but the lions in this particular area also stay put for days at a time, and for reasons I don't know why. The male lions here can sometimes be on property here for 2 or 3 or even 4 days at a time without really, they're not really eating much. They roar a little bit. They will visit females from time to time, but you know, they just seem to come and relax in their place, and that's what I'm hoping that these male lions do, and we can show you that. Anyway, that's the plan, and that's what we're going to do for now. Alright, why don't we send you over to Brent? He seems to have a bird of prey, and when you come back to us next time, hopefully I'll have some news about where the tracks go.
Well, there we go. Look at that, a beautiful tawny eagle. Still sitting quite, off, and off it goes. Now, you always got to check carefully when tawny eagles are around, because they're often the first bird to find a kill. And you can see Tax and Fan. Bye. But apparently the Nkuhumas crossed during the day yesterday into Arathusa. So I think we're going to go look for those Birmingham boys that were roaring this morning. And hopefully they're still on the property. If not, then we'll head towards the west. Dave, how's your singing voice this morning?
As bad as ever.
As bad as ever. Rollo, how's your singing voice?
Need to warm up first.
You need to warm up. I don't think you have the you don't have a choice. So we're going to sing Happy Birthday for Stef. Are we ready? Okay. This is probably going to be the worst rendition of Happy Birthday ever sung by the least talented singers ever to exist. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Stefan. Happy birthday to you. Yay! Okay. Well done. Well done. Michael said apparently one of the Salati males have died in the north. Will the Birminghams move up there? It's possible but unlikely, because the Skybird males will probably take over that territory. They're much closer, but only time will tell, and we cannot predict what the animals are going to do. We can only speculate. I think that wasn't too bad, guys, for non-musical people. I'm sure everyone at home was going, no, stop it now. At least we know we probably embarrassed Stef. Okay, so let's go see if we can find those male lions, and if we get no luck there, then we will go look for the Nkuhumas in Arathusa. Oh, another drop on my nose. Come on, sun, burn away this cloudy weather. You can rain as much as you want after the 12th when I'm not here. Okay, well, we try find ourselves a kitty cat for the morning. Let's go to Madam McCurdy, who's with Mr. Hosana.
Mr. Hosana and Madam McCurdy. I love that. But yes, we are. We're still sitting with our favorite young man, and he is staring off into the distance, and I am now almost certain that he's watching that crocodile, because that crocodile is watching him. It keeps turning. It's actually turning right now, very, very slowly towards him. It's just in the distance. See that? Look how it's keeping one eye, whether it's on us or on Hosana. But I'm sure that Hosana is more of an enticing meal than a big metal rubber vehicle. But he's walking closer and closer towards the water's edge. Let's actually watch his reaction. No. Now that Hosana has sat down, he is still safe. But I actually definitely noticed that he's a little bit nervous of the water. Normally, we would have seen him barging down, going to have a drink, splashing his paws about, because we know he's not afraid of water. We've seen him many times with Brent, almost completely submerged, trying to catch all sorts of things. And I can't believe that those water thickenings behind him haven't caught his attention just yet. Hosana, this is very much not like you. Why are you not chasing things? I suppose he's becoming a bit very much like an adult leopard now. Once he eats, no time for silly games and playing, just resting up until I'm sure they must have a very, very uncomfortable feeling when they eat as much as they do in one sitting. Must be very unpleasant. Well, I think he's feeling a combination of things at the moment. Those thick knees don't seem to be too bothered either, which is lovely. They haven't even alarmed once this morning, which is also unusual, because normally they let rip. They will cackle quite a bit. Oh no, that's not the call. I can't do the water thick knee call now. But it sounds like a battery almost dying. That's what it reminds me of. Hello, beautiful. Kirst says like Brent's singing happy birthday. They must have a nest nearby. And maybe that's why they're a little bit reluctant to leave. And I'm sure if Hosana makes a move around the corner, they'll probably start cackling at him and tell him to move off. Oh, here's his sister. Has just joined the party. That's what's caught his attention. She's sitting up on the damn wall. Hello, Xongile. There she is. Though she's coming down very quickly, actually. Now, Karula must be down there somewhere, or she must have left them, but definitely this confirms that Kill is no longer around, which is very sad because Karula always works so hard, especially when we had that sighting the other night where we were sitting with them and Karula started stalking around Chele Pan, and then Hosana came charging in and, well, completely ruined the hunt because he got all the impala to alarm. Where is she? Is she coming past you, Brian?
No.
Is she here? I'm laying flat. Look at her. She's walking right past there just so that my head doesn't pop into the shot. Hello, girl. Here she is. Oh, they're going to have a lovely little greeting ceremony now, I'm sure. Or maybe the birds have caught Xongile's attention. No, they are not interested in the birds at all. This is strange. What is going on with these two? They attack everything that moves normally, whether it be a blade of grass, a log, jump in and out fallen trees. What is going on? They must have eaten too much last night. Very unusual. Now, Shamson, you've asked on this it's actually not chilly, a very pleasant morning. No, Xongile can't help herself. She's going for the birds. If Karula would take Xongile on a walkabout to show her territory. I don't think so. I think that's what's happening. Oh, I've just got a fly that decided to try and go in between my ear and the earpiece. That was an interesting experience. And lots of buzzing. And I think this is what's happening now as they're moving around and they move to different areas. Xongile is learning favorite pathways to walk, where the watering points are. And so I don't think it's necessarily that Karula would have to guide her around. She probably knows the property very, very well now. But where she's going to set up shop, I am uncertain. And then that will obviously be a discussion between Karula and Xongile as to where the line is, as to where she can go and where she can't go. And remember, when Xongile gets older, her mother's not going to tolerate her. For until she's about 3.5, we might see a couple of interactions with Xongile and Karula. It's not uncommon. They may even share kills. And again, we saw this a lot happening with a leopard by the name of Little Bush, and it happens most of the time, and her daughter Xongile, who had also pushed away. Mom then had new cubs, and it wasn't a strange sighting to see Xongile coming back and joining on kills with her young cubs. Well, I think we need to do a little bit of repositioning. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah.
I think so. Okay, well, we need to reverse out. It seems as though the curiosity of Xongile and Hosana has finally got to them. They've decided to go chasing those birds now. So we'll zip around and go and take another look. But Stef has found some frogs. And remember, it's his birthday, so be nice to him.
Thank you very much, Taylor, and thank you very much, Brent, for singing me happy birthday this morning. No. When you get past a certain age, things like birthdays and that become less and less important. And what is no different about this one, to be quite honest. But thank you very, very much for all your birthday wishes this morning. It is much appreciated, even though quite embarrassing for me, to be quite honest. All right, we've got on the road over here a passenger in transit. This foam nest frog is just come from the dam in front of Djuma camp, Woodland, and is on the road and quite exposed. So it's quite late, and I have a feeling that this frog was probably involved in a bit of a frenzy last night. These foam nest frogs, or grey tree frogs as they're also called, are responsible for making those polystyrene-like balls of foam in trees and on grass edges of pans, in which a female joined by a couple of males will kick up a froth of eggs and sperm, and this substance basically that comes out as bubbles from their skin mixes together with air and then expands to a ball about as big as a soccer ball, and then gets hard in the air. And then the tadpoles grow inside this ball, and when they hatch from their eggs, the substance on their skin then dissolves this polystyrene-like mass, and then they drip from this ball of foam into the water. Now, a female would have been calling and a male would have come to join her, and I think this is a male frog, and I think he's on his way to a tree that's standing behind us. He'll spend the day camouflaged in the tree. He doesn't have any particular defense mechanisms against being preyed upon. He's not toxic in any way. The only thing that he really has going for himself is the ability to change color, very similar to a chameleon. And you can see that while he's been sitting here on the road, he's flattened himself down. He is not moving now because I'm here. And you'll notice that I'm making no effort to touch this frog. The reason for that is that frogs' skins are permeable, which means that there's a membrane that fluids and substances can transfer between. And it does mean that the acids and the chemicals that I have on my hands from insect repellent and dishwashing liquid and sun cream and everything can actually do some damage to frogs. So I choose not to touch frogs. I love identifying frogs and being around in pans in summertime, but to actually pick frogs up can do them some significant harm. So as far as what you can, where you are in your homes and your environments, don't touch frogs, but definitely don't do anything to harm them. They do such a lot of good for the environment. They are known as indicator species because they are so sensitive. It's a very good indicator of the quality of your natural resources around your house or in your parks or your wilderness areas is frogs. If the frog community is healthy and diverse and robust, it means that that particular wilderness area is healthy and vital and robust. And it's important that, because you don't know what outside influences are affecting these places. You know, as these wilderness areas get smaller and smaller and are encroached upon by man and our industrious nature, so we introduce things into waterways which of course get carried long distances and can eventually end up in our wilderness areas. And it's important to know and keep an eye on indicator species like frogs, which will tell you they'll basically tell you what's happening in that environment and what could negatively be affecting that environment. So here we do keep a good eye on frogs. Frogs worldwide are in decline. Frog species and diversity worldwide are in decline. They are pretty much restricted to the tropical and subtropical environments. You do find, well, that's where the most diversity at least is anyway. Here I'm not sure exactly how many frog species we get. This is one of the more common of them. Now, Red, you've asked me a question I've never been asked before, and I also don't have the answer to. You've asked me what is the life expectancy of a foam nest frog. Red, I'm unfortunately going to have to just throw that question straight out there again to the rest of our audience and see if we can get an answer on that. I would presume, Red, that the life expectancy of a foam nest frog is probably somewhere between 3 and 5 years. That would be my guess. If you can find, or any of you out there can find the answer that I can share with myself and Red, please send it through to that hashtag Safari Live, and let's see if we can get some information on the life expectancy of a foam nest frog. So thanks for that, Red. Just highlighting my inability to remember stuff at my advanced age of 39 years on this planet. Have a look at how this frog has lost a little bit of weight. This is their pelvis. This is its pelvis, and you can see what's happened is this frog is actually spread out, trying to look as camouflaged as possible. It's even textured its skin a little bit, so they can do that. They're not as good as an octopus, for instance, at changing the texture of their skin to match the environment, but you can see that this frog is pretty much as camouflaged as it can get against this particular substrate. They go in almost pure white in the sun, and they've also got another name called ghost frog because of that. Now, there are ghost frogs. They occur in the Eastern Cape and on Table Mountain, a very rare type of frog. We don't get ghost frogs here, but in this particular area you'll sometimes get these frogs being referred to as ghost frogs, just because they go a pure white when they are in when they are at nighttime. Excuse me, not in the direct sunlight, at nighttime. One of the more successful frog species out here, and quite a large frog, to be quite honest. Not really a small frog. Most toads are this big, and toads are far more common out here than what frogs are. And toads are also a little bit more hardy. They can live exclusive of water. These frogs, although not tied to water, definitely are water dependent and will need water to do a whole variety of things, not just their mating. A duck has just landed in the water, an African comb duck, a male, and just splashed down behind us in the dam. Now, yesterday you saw one with Taylor. You saw one that was flying. I can't remember who the cameraman was, but managed to get it in the air as it flew over. And it's one of the more remarkable of the duck species that we have out here, the African comb duck. And you can see where it gets its name from. The male has this most fantastic combed bill, and they use that for display purposes with one another. Very, very awesome duck to see. Also, one of the largest ducks that we get. It's not a goose like the Egyptian geese, which are sort of infamous around these pans and water bodies around here. And funny enough, we only rarely see them in summertime. We don't really see them in the wintertime. I don't know enough about this particular duck, mainly because we don't see them as often as what we need to. But there in the background there is Vuyatela Lodge, one of Djuma's camps. And this is Vuyatela Pan. For those of you who are just joining us, perhaps for the first couple of times, this pan and dam and associated water body and lodge feature very often in our safaris, mainly because we live just behind those lightning conductors. We live probably about 100 yards or so on the other side of those lightning conductors, and because of that we fan out from this area every single morning and every single afternoon. And because of this large body of water, especially in the dry season, it attracts a massive amount of animals, and because of that you will see quite often the silhouette of Vuyatela from where we're standing right now. And this dam. Interesting, hey? So an African comb duck without the presence of his females. Let's hope they come in and land. They're definitely not as spectacular as what he is. And that's because there's a difference. Well, you'd be able to tell which members of the pair in birds look after the eggs. So when two birds, a male and a female bird, are the same colors, usually that indicates the fact that both the male and the female share nesting responsibilities and brooding on the eggs. So they will share keeping the eggs warm and safe. When you see a brightly colored male and a very drab looking female, then you know that the female is responsible for brooding her eggs. And the reason why she's drab is quite simply because when she's sitting on her nest, wherever that may be, in a branch or in a hole in a tree or even on the ground, that female wants to blend into the surroundings as much as what she can. So very similar to this little frog at our feet, they will try and stay unobtrusive and unseen, whereas the males are competing for mating rights and they need to be quite attractive for the females. So you tend to find this split where you have very drab females and brightly colored males. It's usually an indicator that that the female sits on the eggs and the males compete with each other endlessly, incessantly for mating rights with females. And in the case of this comb duck, that is exactly what has happened. The female sits on the eggs, the males develop this most fantastic but utterly useless comb on his face. Season, you wanted to know if the duck would eat the tadpoles. I'm sure that a fair amount of this duck's diet will be made up of tadpoles, but the majority of their diet is made up of algae and grasses. They're vegetarian ducks for the most part and filter out algae and water weeds, etc. They will eat a bunch of small invertebrates, but generally speaking they are vegetarian. Now we have got a whole herd of impala that snuck up behind us as well. Come and have a look. It's actually quite incredible the amount of life that's around this dam wall today. There's a herd of impala that has made its way into the thickets. They spend their evenings on open areas, or as open as they can get. And during the day they then move into the forest edges and the forest fringes. And today you can see these impala have come into this particular area to come and feed, and they'll spend most of their day feeding in these thickets. Now what makes impala pretty special is the fact that not only can they graze or do they graze grass, but they also browse. So they also are able to eat leaves, and you can see some of them have got their faces in the grass, others of them have got their faces eating the leaves. And it's one of the reasons why impala are so successful out here, is they can utilize a much wider range of food than what, say, a kudu could, for instance, which is strictly a browser. They only eat leaves and twigs. Now, a couple of these will be babies that were born in October, November, December. I can't remember exactly who won the bet this year about when the babies were born, but you can see the smallest members here were born just a couple of months ago and already almost indistinguishable from the parents and the adults. Tails flicking incessantly. They do that as a following mechanism. It's not necessarily just for flies. You'll notice as they flick the tail, a white ruff of fur will uncurl basically, and that in conjunction with the 3 black vertical stripes on their bums is what allows them to follow one another through the bush. So it's that babies will be keyed to when they're walking through the bush. A flick with a white tuft, and then immediately the 3 lines. And the babies key into that, and when mom runs one direction, they follow that marking. And it just always, they hardly ever stop flicking their tail, and it's these flashes of color that is so attention grabbing. Definitely very interesting. Now, they are ruminants, which means that very similar to cows and goats and sheep, they'll have to lie down after they've finished filling the first part or the first half of their stomach, an enlarged chamber called the rumen. They will then regurgitate mouthfuls of this rumen, so mouthfuls of food that they've already eaten, and they will chew it smaller using a circular motion with their bottom jaw. And they basically, excuse me, I just got something in my eye. They're basically, what they're doing is they're increasing the surface area of the food that they're busy bolting down at the moment. So they eat, fill this big rumen, and then they go and lie down somewhere in the shade, and they regurgitate boluses, balls, clumps of this food, chew it smaller, which increases the surface area. They also mix it with a bunch of saliva. This they then swallow, and because it's smaller and less dense than the rest of the food, it slides over the top of the rest of the food in the rumen and into a different part of the tummy where digestion starts to take place. And that's the moment what they will do around midday. So right now they're just bolting food into their rumen. They will then go and lie down at midday and chew it. And there's a whole bunch of stuff we can get into a bit later about that. Anyway, why don't we go and see what Taylor and those leopard are up to, and we will catch up with you in a couple of minutes, I'm sure.
Well, Xongile and Hosana stalked a couple of birds, tried to chase them around, but as we know, they were not successful. They're not quite quick enough just yet to catch a water thickney or a 3-banded plover. I think even Karula would struggle to catch one of those birds. They have got exceptional eyesight and are always looking about. I think birds in general are just difficult to catch. But they are just sitting on the edge of the dam wall, and I think they're probably going to disappear down to their favorite pans just on the other side, which will be interesting because the grass is so long. It actually might be very funny to watch them as they move around through some of this wet grass and this marshy area. And I can't imagine that they're starving. They've got very, very full bellies. Now here's a question, here's debates that we've been having for ages now. And, oh sorry, I went very blank for a second there. Michael, you were wondering what is my opinion on Hosana? Do I think he's going to be bigger than Tingana? It's difficult to say at this stage, but he's big. I think he's big for his age. He's almost at least double the size of his sister, and he's the same size as his mom. She's slightly taller still, but he definitely weighs more and is broader at the shoulders. So I think he's going to be a big leopard. It's like, if you have a look at Quarantine, what a beaut of a leopard that is. He is a lovely strapping boy, and I think he's very, very big too. Actually, it's hard to say. I think that Quarantine, when he gets a little bit older, because remember, he's only about 4.5 now, isn't he? So he's still got many years less experience than Tingana has, and he's still got some time to fill out. I think he's going to be bigger than Tingana. He's a big, big, big boy. Every time we've seen him with Nkanyeni, he makes her look like it's his cub. It's tiny. It's almost like looking at Karula and then looking at Xongile. But I think we need to reposition. Let's reverse, because they've now disappeared, and down into the little ditch over there. So I don't know if he's going to be bigger than Tingana. We'll have to really just wait and see. And he'll look much bigger as well when he's eaten. So if he's had a big meal and his belly is nice and full, that definitely makes him look a lot larger. Whereas when they're slender and on the hungry side, it can make them look quite a few kilograms light. Let's go over this little bit of erosion. Where is Xongile gone? Oh, there she's hiding. Now watch this. Watch how he's going to completely disappear into this long grass. Here he goes. Xongile is just sitting on the other side. she was grooming herself, and Hosana seems to think that it's game time, which suits us perfectly. I'm sure none of you will disagree with that. There he goes, tucking his hind legs behind his rump. I like that little wiggle that they do with their bottoms and their tails, how they twitch that about. And there we go. Obviously, Xongile is making... No. I love that. And that's exactly what they're going to be doing. So that little movement that you saw there, hiding in the long grass, sneaking up as close as they can to their prey, they leap out of the air. They push with their very powerful back legs straight up to the sky. And then they hope that they can land straight down on their prey. So their hunting strategy is a lot different to what we see of lions. Now, do you remember quite a few weeks ago, I sat with Karula one night. I didn't have this live, unfortunately. It was well after the show, about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours after the show had finished. And I watched Karula take down a big male impala. And she was very funny because she stalked in the road. She was lying flat on the ground, creeping. She had a bit of long grass. Then she snuck into the grass. She was about 6 foot away from this impala ram, who had no idea that she was there. And we're going to actually have to keep moving because we're going to lose them across the boundary if we're not careful. Let's quickly zip around here. So she did that, and she jumped straight into the air, and then she landed probably about ruler's length away from that impala, so she missed what she was supposed to. She was supposed to land on top of him, and the impala got a fright and ran, and then luckily she put her paw out and she grabbed it by the strong leopard. She pulled the impala back towards her and managed to and suffocate it.
Hello, you have come to join us while we are trekking. So my head has been glued to the sand for the last while, and there's tracks of one male lion that's going the opposite to all the others, so hopefully he hasn't wandered off. We do apologize for Taylor disappearing. At this time of the year, that area where the leopards are is a tricky spot due to the trees blocking the line of sight to Gowrie. Come on, male lion. These are nice tracks. I heard you roaring. So far I haven't found any of the tracks of him crossing. And so we're just going very slowly. The last track I had was about 100 meters behind us, but the road is extremely hard at the moment. And he could have just wandered off for a scent mark and then he'll come back. Oh, what's this we have here? That is not a lion track. Okay, I think, because he looks like he's really on the move, I think I'm going to try head further to the east and then move back if we don't find any tracks. Now, just an update, the wild dogs have been found to the south of our boundary. So, fingers crossed they come north. Oh, is this where a lion has been having a nap? It is not. It is. It is where a lion has been having a nap. Okay, we're back on. He's still going east. So he obviously wandered off. Oh, he had another nap here. Well, we're getting closer to napping. I wonder if this isn't the one that was in Buffalo's Hook yesterday with one of the Nkuma females. But the closer we get to seeing napping means hopefully we're going to find them shortly. Apparently the wild dogs are chasing impala everywhere, so Taylor needs to be aware that they might come dashing across from the south around Twin Dams. So I'm just letting final control know so they can tell Taylor. Okay, last track was just over there. Maybe they're reclining on the Buffalo's Hook Dam wall. Wouldn't that be pleasant? Oh! It was on my... Where's the spider? It was right on my lip. The spider on my face?
Negative.
Negative. Where's it gone? Spider, spider. Yuck. Cobweb literally in my face. Morning, Lindsay. Lindsay would like to know, will the shifting lion dynamics in the area affect the leopards? It shouldn't, Lindsay. I mean, leopards live with lions the whole time, and generally when there is quite a lot of shift in the dynamics, the lions are more focused on each other than anything else. But the male lion dynamics are not really shifting at the moment. It's just the female dynamics. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. The Nkumas might feel more comfortable when there's 5 of them again to push back into the north. But as I said, that Torchwood pride is massive. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Now, it could be a bit of a blessing in disguise for us that the Nkumas have got beaten up by the Torchwoods, which we think happened. We can't be sure unless we're there, because it means they might spend a lot more time here on Djuma because of being pushed from the lions from the north. Okay, I haven't had any tracks for a while. They might have ducked in onto the fire break. Let's go check the Buffelshoek waterhole. So we got those spots where they can't go past without checking. Hello, owls, are you here? No white-faced scops this morning. I just want to check at this road junction very carefully. Okay, no tracks there. Let's check Buffelshoek waterhole. If we get nothing, we're going to head back down the fire break towards opposite where the last tracks were. Okay, this is now the next sort of hot spot for footprints. Ah, hey, is that a lion track? It is too. Continuing. Where did you go? Let's have a quick look. There's tracks there. These are really fresh tracks. Okay, let's just go look down at the waterhole quickly. Might have taken the back route through. Or has he turned down here? It looks like he's turned down here. I can see the tracks. Ooh! Lions reclining on the dam wall. Did I call it correctly? The tracks have gone off now. But these are nice fresh tracks. The sand underneath is actually darker where the males moved. Yeah, kitty. Aww. No lion reclining on the wall, but it could still be around the waterhole. Hello, hippopotamus. You seen any cats this morning? Let's have a look. There might be. Whoop, Hippo's gone down. Come on, lions, give us a roar. Where'd the hippo go? There the hippo, and just see the ripples under the water. And keep quiet for a second, hopefully we. There we go. Hello, hippo. Oh, nice to have a hippo back in the Buffelshoek waterhole. Unfortunately for us, no reclining kitty cats. I think they might have headed further east. Okay, well, let's carry on. while these tracks are fresh, they could still be very much moving, and we are approaching our eastern boundary. Good morning, Tweety Tweet. Tweety Tweet would like to know, why do we never see the Torchwood lionesses? Well, quite simply that their territory doesn't encompass the area that we drive. They are further to the north and to the east and into Kruger. So that's why we don't see the Torchwood lionesses, because their territory is not where we are able to traverse. Okay, let's have a look. Are there tracks here? No tracks just yet. Here's a bit of soft sand. Well, soft sand being a relative thing. Okay. Nothing here, so let's check back towards the northern boundary and the fire break. I'm hoping we're just not one step behind these lions this morning as they keep moving towards the east. They do have a massive home range, the Birminghams, so around 20,000 acres, so they have been known to cover some serious ground in a short time. And they've split now. One's gone to the north, one's gone to the west, and this one's gone to the east, and there's still a fourth one, of course, somewhere. We've got to make hay while the sun's not shining, because that's when the big cats are most likely to be on the move. Oh dear, naughty elephants. Okay, well, we go see if we can find where these tracks are heading again. It sounds like Stef has got something that moves along, leaving a slime trail.
Definitely not a snail, but you know, when Brent gets tracking on the mind like he is at the moment, he is a single-minded, focused individual. What you're looking at over there is where we ended off yesterday morning's walk. This is an ant colony. Yesterday we found these ants busy dismembering a worm, a caterpillar, and we tracked them back to the entrance of their burrow. And what was interesting as an observation as we left, everyone, was the fact that there seems to be these collections of dead ants at the top of the grass stems at intervals around the entrance to this nest. Now, there's a fungus out here called the cordyceps fungus, which in particular likes to target ants and ant colonies. And what it looks like here is we've got an ant colony that's got a bit of an infestation of this particular fungus. The ant colony itself is quite a robust colony. There are quite a few individuals around here. It looks like they've been here for quite some time, and that will of course allow fungal infections like this to start proliferating. Now there you're looking at another collection of dead ants all strung out at the end of these grasses, which is pretty typical of this particular fungus. The ants climb to the top of the grass and there die, and in so doing give the fungus some height to distribute its spores with, and so it can infect a larger area. And it's just a bizarre thing, seeing a bunch of dead ants at the top of these grasses. I've never seen it before. I've never noticed it before. It's not to say that it doesn't exist. There you're having a look at it. Just very, very weird. Here's the entrance to the burrow. So the entrance to the burrow is in the middle of these collections of dead ants. There's the entrance to their home. These drop-tail ants. And even here is another collection of dead ants. The largest one in actual fact. Now what I'm trying to see is if you can see any telltale signs of this fungus erupting from their body. Very similar to how fungus here lives underground and then makes a mushroom, and the mushroom has these fans underneath it which release the spores. Similar to this fungus, it has to actually erupt from the ant's body and then create filaments which then release the spores into the air. And a quick way of us looking, or for me looking, and a handy trick for all of you out there, is you can use your binoculars as a magnifying glass. If you just turn the lens around, and instead of looking through the small hole, you look through the big one, basically. And it at a certain distance away from the object of your inspection, it'll actually magnify the image, not by a lot, but definitely by enough to see what's going on. And so what I'm going to try and do here on this particular one is get close enough that we can see any filaments coming out of these ants. So there, at the moment, it's very much so a magnified image for me. I'm looking at the ants' bodies. I can see one's head. I can't see any filaments. I can see that they're tied together with some other type of silk. Very weird. Now, Winter Prison, you've asked a very interesting question. You say these ants that died of this fungus, will they become easy prey for other animals, or will they will they leave them alone because they're infected? I'd like to believe the latter there, simply because no one wants to eat anything that's sick or diseased. To a degree, these ants are able to control this fungus by animals that, well, individuals in the nest that are deranged. They actually get taken out and disposed of before they go completely mad, and taken far away from the nest. And I think that's what's happened over here, is that these individuals have been taken away from the nest and have been placed here because they don't seem to have died in the typical cordyceps way, which is an individual walking to the top of a grass stem or a plant and then spasming onto that plant. These ones are sort of collected at the end here, but why the silk, I'm not too sure. But to answer your question a little bit more, I suppose a little bit more with some conclusion, is the fact that these ants will die relatively healthy, and it'll take some time for the fungus to actually come out. And yes, I think that they might be picked off by birds perhaps, or by other insects that are opportunistic to that initially. But I think once the fungus sort of erupts out of these individuals, that they're not that palatable anymore, and that animals that do prey on ants, in particular, will probably find that living ants, healthy ants, are much easier prey than what, or much better prey than what these fungus-infected ones are. It's so interesting to see, you know. Every single year out here, there's something new to learn, there's something new to see and observe. It's very cool. Spicy Dame, you've asked me if ants are cannibals. That's a good question. Are ants cannibals? Do they cannibalize each other's colonies and on the same species? No. I'm going to say that. They are carnivorous. They do raid other ant colonies. I've seen ant wars going on here where one species of ant usurps another species of ant in a particularly good nesting spot. So for instance, a good hole in a tree or a good food tree. I've watched wars being waged between two different species of ants. Two colonies of the same species of ants would not do that to one another. And so therefore, by my definition of what cannibals are, it would be the same species preying on one another. No, I don't think so. Are they aggressive towards members of other colonies of the same species? Absolutely. Will they kill each other to defend their territories? Yes, but they won't eat that individual. And so no, I don't think that they're cannibals. But that's a good question, Spicy Dame. Well done. So no, not cannibals, definitely aggressive, definitely protect their areas from other members of the same species, definitely will usurp other species from prime nesting places or prime feeding places to the point where they'll wipe out an entire colony. But are they cannibals? No, I don't think so. Of course, I mean, if there are ant cannibals out there, I'm by no means an ant expert, and I'm only limited to my experience out here, really. But if there's other people out there with more information, I know ants are found all over the globe. In actual fact, I read an interesting fact the other day about ants that said that the total biomass of ants, in other words, their total weight of ants on this planet, equals the total mass of people on this planet. Now that is an interesting fact. How true it is, I don't know, but it's something that I've read from time to time. It may all come from the same source, of course, but it's something that you read from time to time out here. But it's interesting that the total weight of humans on the planet is equal to the total weight of ants on the planet. And I just thought, wow. So it shows you, there's a lot of ants out here, is I think the comment that I wanted to say. And here we have a infestation of worms, tiny caterpillars on these leaves. Now what you're looking at over there, this brown mass, is actually what we call caterpillar frass. It's the droppings of the caterpillars as they're feeding along these leaves. And you can actually see that they are mining out the leaf rather than eating it totally. They're mining just the top layer of these leaves out. That is bizarre. Usually caterpillars eat the leaf, but these are a little bit too small, and so just mining the top layer, basically. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. And will obviously have a detrimental effect on the leaf's ability to function properly, probably killing the leaf just as effectively as if they'd eaten the whole thing. And no doubt, the bigger they get, they'll probably start eating the entire leaf as they go along. And they'll finish this plant and then move over to the next one very quickly as well. And that'll be for a couple of weeks. Then they will pupate and come out as moths or caterpillars. I'm not too sure what species of caterpillar this is. Every year out here, something new catches your attention. One year it'll be insects, the next one it'll be butterflies, the next year it'll be grasses or trees. There's just so much to learn out here every single season that it becomes impossible, to learn everything that's new in a particular season. It also becomes impossible for me to remember things as the years go by. So, for instance, I got quite involved with grasses and the identifying of grasses a couple of years ago. And between myself and a friend, we dug out grass, identified it, stuck it, and managed to put out all the grasses in a particular area down a corridor where we used to stay, in the dormitory we used to stay. And we had probably close to 150 species of grass down this corridor, all meticulously labeled and identified, and with the roots, with the leaf, with the grass stalk, with the inflorescence, the flowers, and in some cases the seeds, which are of course how you identify these grasses. And everyone, all the rest of the rangers department was using it to learn from. And that year in particular, I thought that I was quite good with grass. Not so this year, but I do enjoy this at the moment. These grasses are all starting to produce their flowers. And yesterday I did it. They just tend to be, you can get one pollen from them. So have a look here when I dust it. Watch the pollen that comes off here. So 1, 2, 3. Did you see it float away? So the wind is gusting this way slightly. So focus your attention on this part of the grass. And watch here. Did you see that? Slight dusting of pollen that's coming off. Not really, Kirsty says. No, I didn't really see that either. Let's go to this one over here. The only reason I'm doing it is because I have a very funny memory of a friend of mine called Lee Guttridge, he has the most unbelievable hay fever, and in this time of the year when you're driving through the bush, the cars bump the pollen into your face. You see when Brent or Jamie or Taylor drives off road, the grass bends and it used to waft this time of the year, waft the pollen into his face, and he used to come back from game drive if he didn't have his antihistamine tablets swollen up like a soccer ball, like literally his eyes couldn't even open anymore at the end. He hated summer. He still hates summer to this day just because of this pollen. So let's see if we can get this to dust. So focus your attention just here. This is the last time I'll try this because otherwise Kirsty's gonna shout at me again. So 1, 2, 3. Still not. Oh well. Alright. Well, at least Lee can come and drive around over here. His face won't get all swollen up. Alright. We are fast making our way into the area where Brent has been tracking these lions, and hopefully we can give him a hand, which is why we're marching on the road over here. So we'll catch up with you a little bit later. In the meantime, we're going to send you over to Taylor, who's got some good news about what she's waiting to see. You're going to stay with me for a bit. Taylor's car is having a little bit of an issue. As you may have picked up over the last couple of days, we have got some signal issues with the cars at the moment. Something's happening, some little gremlin has crept in. And we'll definitely be sending you to Taylor for an update. But in the meantime, we are going to send you over to Brent so that he can tell you what he's been up to over the last couple of minutes.
Okay, I've got some exciting news. I've left those lion tracks. There's apparently, those wild dogs are heading towards our boundary, and we know Taylor is with our wonderful little leopard, so I'm trying to get down to the area where they're going to cross, which is about halfway up that hill. We'll probably pass Taylor. She's going to be in between us, but we're going to get right up. Well, where's Dave? There we go. The wild dogs should come out about there. So we all know how I like a good wild dog sighting. As you can hear, the timbre in my voice goes up, and we might have to say a prayer for the VR rig. Okay. Oh, I can see a wildebeest running around up at the top there. That's where the dogs are going to cross. So we're just going to sneak past here, where the leopards are. Oh, dogs, 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 dogs! We might lose a Rollo to a thorn tree today. As everyone can tell you, when there's wild dogs, you might get stuck. Oh, there's those leopards crossing the road in front of us. I'm just trying to get past them. So the leopard just crossed into the south. It looked like Hosana. I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to sneak around past the vehicles. I can't see where Taylor is. I know she's around here somewhere. Maybe she's with Xongile. Oh, apparently Taylor has gone to stand by for the wild dogs. But there are 3 vehicles in here, so I can't stay with the leopards. So we're just going to sneak around past them. Morning, morning, morning. Thanks. I'm looking for something else. I'm on my way past the leopards. Thank you. Just the one cross? Sure. 2. Okay. Thank you. Bye. So there we go. Well, both Hosana and Xongile have crossed our southern boundary. That's very sad, but when they're in this area, they will come backwards and forwards and all around. Now, if Taylor's going to stand by here, we're going to stand by a little bit further to the north. So Aubrey and Tax are deep inside Buffalo's Hook at the moment, so it pays to have as many vehicles around with dogs as possible, especially because they move so fast and they disappear so quickly. see some impala running about, but we're going to keep moving on. We're going to stand by further down the road from Taylor, but she's got something that's standing on a wire.
Well, we do have a kingfisher that is sitting up on the wire, as you can see. A woodland kingfisher just staring off into the distance. Looks like it had something on its beak, but we are not really waiting around for this bird. We are waiting for wild dogs. It sounds as though the wild dogs are just south of our traverse. They're about 300 or 400 meters just south, so we're very patiently waiting. And as you know, for wild dogs, well, that distance is merely just a couple of seconds, really, when they get running at full speed. So we'll have to wait and see. But if it's the same pack that Andrew had yesterday, he had them quite late in the evening. It sounded like there were about 13 or 14, so perhaps it's the Investec pack, I'm not sure. We'll really just have to wait and see. Let's go for a little bumble, because I heard the guides now, I'm not on a channel that I can get hold of them on, but they said that the dogs have gone static, so they've sat down, they're probably just resting up just a little bit, but we are waiting for them to come here, really, because, like I said, they could cross over, and then within a matter of seconds, well, they could be here and we could miss them and we could lose them too. Now, if you're wondering what happened to Hosana and Xongile, is, well, they were running around a little bit. They were going in and out of our traverse, and as well as just south of our traverse, and then a wildebeest came running through and looked a bit confused. So I don't know if the wildebeest either bumped into one of the Birmingham lions, which is apparently around here somewhere too. There's a lot of action down here, or if because it bumped into the wild dogs. But Hosana and Xongile did let off and do a little chase. It was really funny. It happened in about 2 seconds, and then they gave up. Now, Michael, you're wondering how close are the dogs to the cubs? Very close. Very, very close indeed. Only a few hundred meters away from each other, but the dogs are coming north. But you know, with dogs, that means absolutely nothing. They could be coming north, and the next minute they hear something or pick up a scent as the wind swirls, and they could change their direction and go completely east, back towards where the cubs are. I can actually hear the game drive vehicles just south of us, which is good news for us. So it means that they're not too far, and I can see Brent. Brent is also around. He's standing up on the hood of his vehicle, scanning into the distance with his binoculars to see if he can see anything coming towards him. Oh, hang on, look at this. Oh, look at the little chicks. Look at the tiny little chicks in the middle of the road. Who do we have? Is it, yes, Crested Franklins. Ah, they're running, quickly getting out of the way, because if those dogs come through, those little birds stand no chance, and they will be snatched up as a tiny little snack that wouldn't do very much for one wild dog. Might entertain the pups, though, the juveniles that we know are in the big pack, if it is the Investec pack. That was really sweet. We don't often get to see the smaller ground-dwelling birds, and as quick of a glimpse as that was, this is now the second time I've ever seen chicks here in 6 months, so it just shows you, even something small like that was actually really special to see. Now we wait. Now we really have to practice our patience. Brian has gone into a meditation now. He's relaxed, he's waiting, he's prepared. He's getting ready for the wild dogs. I say this, and they could actually completely turn around. Okay, let me reposition. Oh, can you get that, Brian? Or would you like me to swing the vehicle slightly? No. There's Brent. You can see the aerial and the power lines, because we're on the boundary now. We're on Gary Main. But there's David. There's Brent. Hello! And I can't see who's on the vehicle with them. Who is it? It is Rollo, by the looks of it, who is joining. He's from Biome, and they're doing all the interesting VR things at the moment, which is really cool. Virtual reality. We have been having lots of fun around camp as well, putting these crazy goggles on and looking around us and seeing all these amazing things, which was quite fun to do as well. And yes, not everybody's talkative, but when Rebecca and I watch it, we let everybody know what's going on around us. Everyone else just sits quietly and enjoys, and you can imagine the two of us are quite loud. And well, we sort of shout, yay, and oh, wow, and very expressive. Where are these dogs? Now, another interesting question, and this has got to do with the wild dogs and the leopards again. And Marco, you were wondering if the leopards could smell the wild dogs. Definitely. At the moment, the wind is swirling slightly. It's sort of coming from the southeast, but then every now and then again it twists and it feels like it's coming from the west, which is a little bit unusual. Normally we get our wind from the southern corner. So definitely so, and that's probably why that wildebeest is a little bit confused as well. As it was running around, we might see it pop out again because we've seen it pop out 3 times, is that it keeps bumping into leopards, and I think it's bumping into wild dogs, perhaps a lion every now and then, and it doesn't know where it can go just to where it's safe. Those cubs though, if they do hear those dogs or pick up on their scent, the first thing they're going to do is go straight up a tree, because they will never outrun the wild dogs. That is their only defense against those dogs, is get to a point where those dogs can't climb. So a fallen marula tree, you might see those dogs jump up and try and get them like that, so they'll have to go up a nice big tree. Whether it's an unfavorable one like a knob thorn that's covered in thorns, or an acacia, they will scale anything just to make sure that they can reach a height where they will be safe. I don't know if you've ever seen wild dogs jump as well. They can jump really high. I mean, I've seen them trying to jump up and get leopards at a base of a tree, a big marula, and they must get at least 4 or 5 feet off of the ground, at least, just by jumping and pushing themselves up off of their back legs. So they've got to make sure it's a decent tree. Otherwise, they will find themselves in a bit of trouble. But when we did leave them, they had darted across the road and into the south, into Baboon Pan. So there's a lot of water around there. There's some leadwoods, there are marulas, there are knob thorns, there are plenty of big trees and safe spots for them to go. So I reckon that they will be all right. And yeah, I think they'll be fine. I think those cats, well, they're learning their lessons now. They're definitely getting a little bit better with dealing with their surroundings and all the threats that could potentially be out there, which is great to see. It's great to see them grow up. We're going to sit here. Brent and I are going to not go anywhere. We're hoping that these dogs are going to cross. But there's one person, the birthday boy, that is not waiting for dogs. Let's go see what he's got to show you next.
Well, we've got a few flies hanging around us here where we are today. In actual fact, we've had about 50 or 60 flies flying around us at the moment. And because of that, I thought that I'd show you what makes a good fly swatter. So obviously the type of tree is important. A guari is the best. This is a magic guari, and the reason for that is because their leaves are very, very difficult to shake off of their branches. Then, to maximize effort with, well, minimum energy expenditure, you need a long branch. So you need a youngish tree that gives you a long branch. Then what you do is you trim off the pieces of branch that are going to offer you wind resistance, and importantly you have to trim the end, because if you don't, your palm gets blistered by the constant flicking of your fly whisk throughout the day. So you just trim off the end, making sure that any sharp edges are taken care of. There we go. Guaris, of course, the reason why I know they make such fantastic fly swatters is because we do use them in as fire beaters. So in the dry season, when fires here are a problem, we cut ourselves fire beaters from these guari bushes, and when we put in a back burn, which is a fire that you burn towards a fire, so we'll use a road as a fire break, you then put in a burn, and it burns towards the fire that is coming uncontrolled towards you, and then we'll use these to beat out the fire again in the back burn. So I know that they make for fantastic. So now you've got a nice fly whisk, and now what you do is you just casually sort of flick it past your face, which keeps all the flies away. You can brush it over your head, and you can whisk as you get the flies. You can whisk them from side to side. And yes, it is a birthday present to myself. Thank you very much, Kirsty. Flies have a way of ending my mood, to be quite honest with you. They can get so pestilent, it's crazy. Now, one thing I have noticed while we've been here is the fact that there's a young fig tree busy growing inside this massive knob thorn. Now, there's the young fig. That seed was deposited there by a bird which had eaten the fig before, and the fig seed came out in its dropping and probably on a branch above, and it's just washed down into the fork of that tree. And what the fig did first was send out a root. Now come a little bit closer. I'm almost sure that we'll see this particular root almost touching the ground, if not touching the ground already. Let's see. Here's the fig tree's root. Here, this is the fig's root. Not getting sustenance from the tree itself, it will need to get its sustenance from the ground. So here the root goes down, and it hasn't quite reached the ground yet. There's the end of its root there, you see? There's the baby fig root before it goes into the ground. One. Others go all the way down. I'm almost sure that I don't want to take off this too much. But there's one, oh, this one here, this root here goes all the way down. In any case, what will happen is eventually the roots will go into the ground. And then this fig tree goes into power mode. It basically has access to all the sunlight being already high up in the tree. It has a strong base on which to grow this knobthorn, and I say poor knobthorn because this fig tree will eventually kill this knobthorn. And the way it's going to do it is by strangling it. So some figs that grow in this particular fashion are called strangler figs, because what will happen is these roots will eventually encircle the whole tree and will get thick as branches, and eventually what it'll do is it'll starve this knobthorn to death. And by that stage the fig tree itself, so the actual, let's go around that side again, the actual fig tree, the stem would have pushed through the crown of this knobthorn. So those green leaves there would have pushed out the top of the crown, and so it will have stolen the light that the knobthorn uses to grow. The roots would have stolen the nutrients that this tree would use to grow, and this knobthorn will then die. And if, well, in the case of very hardwood trees, this network of roots actually becomes hollow as the knobthorn rots and will be eaten by fungus. It leaves a hollow tube, a lattice work tube of roots that now becomes the stem of the fig tree. And that's just one of the competitive advantages that these figs have in this environment, in that they don't need to grow from a seed and have to battle their way through 10 meters of canopy or 10 yards of canopy. They already have a head start. There's a young tree there. It already has a much better head start than fighting for sunlight on the floor of the savannah. Isn't that the coolest thing? So that is a fig tree. For those of you who will be watching us over the next decade or 2 or 10, definitely take a picture of this and let's see. So let's get into an area. This is from a road. This is Nyala Road South, and so we'd be able to sort of almost time-lapse this over the years. But why don't we ask Craig to focus there, and you take a screenshot and see how quickly this fig tree grows over the years to come. Now, hopefully an elephant doesn't come and knock down this tree in the next couple of years and leaves it alone, so that you can actually see that fig tree do its thing. But you'll see how quickly that fig tree grows over the months and the years to come. It's obviously not, it won't happen next year. It's going to take many years, but you'll definitely see that as time goes by. It's very cool, eh? Alright, now I have my fly swatter, and you can see with a casual flick of my wrist I'm able to effect much toing and froing, which of course gets the flies away from my face and keeps my mood good. Alright, we're going to send you over to Brent, who's got an update on those wild dog that he's waiting for.
Well, Taylor and I just left the area because we heard they were going south. Now I've just got another radio call. They're coming north again. So we're sort of just easing up and down our southern boundary at the moment. And hopefully they do pop out shortly. On my foot? Oh, well, okay. Dave has spotted. Oh, that is a... It's gone. Oh no, it's on my pedal now. Come here. Oh, sorry guys, this could take a second. Gone. I can't, it's underneath the brake pedal. Oh, this is going to be worth it once I manage to. I don't want to hurt it, that's the problem. Oh no! Oh, where'd it go? It's gone underneath again. That's very sneaky. I don't want to. Where's it gone? go, Dave? I think it might have gone out of the car. Let's have a look outside. I don't want to stand on it. It's a very pretty mantid. It escaped.
Where you gone?
Where did it go? It couldn't have gone anywhere. Maybe it's just camouflage. Is it under the car? It's not under the car. I can't believe it. Maybe it went behind this pedal. That pedal. It's not behind the brake pedal anymore. Maybe behind here. Wow. Well, these things have a way of popping back up, but it was a very pretty praying mantis. Not on my seat. Under my seat. No. Wow. That was a very quick disappearing. Ho-ho. It was almost silver in color. What? Kirsten says on my shoulder. She's lying. I can see my back in the monitor, Kirsten. Stop your nonsense. Kirsten, is that funny, Dave?
That's hilarious.
Don't. You're supposed to side with the presenters, not with the FC. Dave, I'm going to have to punish you now. Dave, how should we punish Dave? Where's a thorn bush on the left side of the vehicle?